So phosphorus is also a limiting nutrient for many plants. We also need phosphorus, plants and animals do, in order to produce DNA, and it is also found in proteins. So when we look at the phosphorus cycle, one of the differences between it and, say, for example, the carbon and the nitrogen cycle is that there is very little phosphorus stored in the atmosphere. So it is considered to be like almost not important in terms of the storage of phosphorus. So most of the phosphorus is stored in the Earth's crust. So we'll just write that, most stored in the Earth's crust. So unlike nitrogen, which we can't like mine, we could actually dig up and actually excavate areas of the Earth's crust that are high in phosphorus in order to get phosphorus to put onto our crops. So we have, in terms of natural processes, we have uplifting, and then wind and erosion also releases the phosphorus into different areas so they can be used. So uplift, erosion, wind can cause the release . Okay. We can also, humans can mine phosphorus. So if we look at an example of this process, these processes, we can see that we can take and mine the rock, and then we can turn it into fertilizer and put it back into the soil. So just like with nitrogen, this can leach out of the soil and end up in the water. So this runoff, for example, could end up in the fresh water and then ultimately in the oceans. We also have some erosion, so it gets back up into the atmosphere, for example, and then deposition, like it can come back down from the atmosphere and get into the soil. One of the really interesting things about this particular cycle is that we can have erosion occurring way, say, for example, in Africa, erosion where the winds pick up the soil. Maybe it's because the soil has, the organic material has been burned or whatever. And then we have these winds that carry these plumes of dust to the Amazon. So if I look at just an image of this, so atmospheric winds carry the nutrients from Africa to the Amazon. And so this is where we have this circulation of the atmosphere transferring nutrients, and in this case, including phosphorus. And that is actually some of the reason why we have such high fertility in the Amazon. So that is just crazy. So we can have the moving of elements in vast distances across the planet. Okay, so if we go back to this cycle, one of the things that's interesting is that we can also get phosphorus from guano. So guano is species from bird populations. So bird feces contains lots of phosphorus in it. And so this is one other place that we can get phosphorus. And maybe this was before we knew or how to mine it and produce fertilizer. This would be one source of phosphorus historically is guano.